0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Azalina, and I am joined by a man who once cried in front of the girls' lacrosse team at Elizabethtown College, Regs.
See, I feel like you did me a little dirty there. I feel like people need some context. About what was happening?
I think they're good.
So
moving on.
Technically, you're correct, but it was on the floor of the athletic training room because the Phillies had just won the World Series. And I had to watch on a TV that was about yay big, hanging up on the wall of the trainer's room because I had to work that night.
I mean, it's a likely excuse.
And I was standing against the wall, and the rest, like you said, the girls' lacrosse team was there, a couple of the trainers. And Brad Lidge throws his pitch, and I just sunk. And I'll remember I'm wearing a black high school basketball hoodie. And I pulled the hoodie over my face, and I start sobbing like a baby.
Well,
and that's how I celebrated the Phillies winning the 2008 championship.
I can tell you that I was at our house on our side in Josh's living room, bedroom, the dual use room.
Yeah.
And I was on the floor. Stein was sitting on Josh's bed. Phil was standing in the doorway. Josh was sitting behind me. Ryan was in the living room. I'm not sure why Ryan wasn't a part of this, and I don't know where Banksy was. But every strike that Lidge threw in that at bat to Eric Hinsky, Stein took a piece of electronics away from me. He was like, all right, I'm gonna take your computer.
Yep.
And he put it to the side, and then he was like, all right, I'm gonna take your phone. Yep. And then he put it to the side, and then the third pitch was strike three, and I mean there was just a dog pile. They all jumped on top of me. It's one
of my largest regrets that I wasn't in the room with you guys, and especially you when that happened. It's one of my not regret because it was any of our fault. When you're a poor college kid, you take the job and you go to the job and you take the money because it pays for your beer that weekend.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I had to go to the job, but it's one of my deepest regrets that I wasn't there to celebrate that with you because the celebrations throughout the playoffs were epic.
Yeah, we had some really good celebrations. I still I know I've said this on the air before, but you almost putting me through the ceiling when Shane Victorino hit the grand slam off of Sabathia. I still remember my head touching the ceiling. You lifted me up so quickly without any chance for me to respond. I look back and I also remember 5 minutes after that pitch, not even, it was probably, I swear it was less than that. Dan Laletta just came bursting through our door at the house. Nowhere. Yeah, just out of absolutely nowhere, just with this huge grin on his face. And I think I went to pretty much every one of the houses that we hung out at that year or throughout our college lives that night. I think it just went from house to house to house and had a drink with everybody, including the Rose Garden. Those girls didn't care. I just walked in with a beer. Let's do this.
I don't remember that night. I don't remember what we did.
I mean, I don't know that I was even home when you got home.
That's what I mean. I worked pretty late. I worked till almost 11, 11:30.
Yeah.
I don't know what I did the rest of that night.
I got to tell you, I still, to this day, recall the feeling of walking on campus the next morning. And just this sense of pride. I did something the night before. I accomplished this magnificent feat. Walking around at chest puffed out, got my Phillies gear on, and I'm just walking around smiling at people, and I can't even describe. I specifically remember walking by a kid that I have no idea who he was, and he had Phillies gear on, and we just looked at each other, and I was like, I know, man, I know, I don't remember who it was. I knew a lot of people on campus,
Yeah.
but like I don't recall knowing that person. But yeah, what a moment.
The
like,
next few, like you say you can remember that. I don't remember any of that.
oh
I
man,
see. I remember.
I remember all of it.
But I think because I so vividly remember the moment, I think that sucked up like all my mental energy from that time. That's what I mean. I can't remember what else happened that night. I can't remember what happened the next day. I only remember we were talking about going to the parade, but I think you had a test. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I should have left your ass at home. I should have went.
Yeah, I had a test and they wouldn't excuse me.
But
again, you know what? I got to the Eagles parade, so we're good.
That's right.
It's fine. Hey, I almost wonder though, do you think you'll cry if Team USA wins the World Baseball Classic this or next year, I guess we're saying now?
I don't think so.
Yeah. That's fine. I wish you would though.
I'll still be excited.
I mean, can we briefly, I know obviously we're a Phillies podcast, but like there's been some announcements over the last week about like the coaching staff and the actual roster that's been announced. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
You want to start with the coaching staff?
Yeah.
All right. So Mark DeRosa is the manager, which there's always been talk about him actually being like a future manager. So I'll be curious to see how he does. Jerry Manuel is an experienced manager, will be the bench coach, which works. Pitching coach Andy Pettit, we're just going to pluck guys
That's
in
right.
that,
We're just going to plug guys at some point, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. We're going to skip this guy. We're going to skip this guy. I don't know who Dino Abel is.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, and I feel badly. I feel like I want to know. Luke Collier was a decent player. He's the first base coach. Abel's the third base coach. Dave Righetti was Joseph's going to love that he's the bullpen coach. But the hitting coach, my guy, your favorite player's favorite player, Ken Griffey Jr.
The kid.
Yeah.
So listen.
Now, I don't know. It doesn't sound like he's going to have a lot of work to do, though.
I was about to say, it's at this point, this is like saying you're Mike Krzyzewski when you coach in the dream team. It's like
it's all fanfare.
Yeah.
It's all fanfare.
You're getting some names. Great to have Griffey there. I'm sure all these guys look up to him. Like they're now at the point where the generations that is playing idolize guys like Ken Griffey Jr. So I think it's cool. Like I love seeing Griffey wherever I can.
Oh yeah. I mean, I hope he just has his hat backward all the time. Now the team itself, no pitchers have been announced yet.
Yeah.
And no shortstop has been announced yet. But I
saw one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Have you seen an updated one?
On because the official roster. Well, I guess he's a second baseman / shortstop.
Is it Trevor Story?
Yes.
Yeah, he's listed as a second baseman.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say, is it Tim Anderson? Because that's the guy I want to see on it. I'm hoping to see
that would
anyway.
be cool. I'd like.
Yeah,
that.
I'd really like to see. I mean, it'd also be cool if, like, I don't know, Bryce and Stott or Trey Turner did. And I don't know.
I really like what's his name, Anderson.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm a huge fan of Tim Anderson's. All right, so here's the team as stands today. They had JT Realmuto listed as the catcher. Goldschmidt was listed at first. You mentioned Story already. Arenado was at third. Troughton left. Cedric Mullins from the Orioles in center, who's a really good player.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso's listed as DH, but that's very confusing considering Bryce Harper is on the roster.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he's going to be able to throw. So I don't even think he's going to be able to play personally. I think we're going to see something we don't want to see in the offseason. But like, I am curious how that is. But I guess we'll see more as time goes on. But that's a pretty darn good roster as is right now.
I mean, it literally sounds like they're stacking like the 96, like the 97 Dream Team. Or like
this is a really solid group.
Yeah, it's
I'm shocked.
It sounds like, because listen, I've watched a decent amount of these.
Yeah.
And you'll always get one or two major league players. I remember Adam Jones being a big part of the first one I can remember.
A huge catch. And
Todd
David
Frazier.
Wright.
Todd Frazier
Captain America.
Todd Frazier was a part of another one.
Yeah.
Where he was like the only recognizable name on the entire team, right? It's filled with a bunch of college kids or minor league players or stuff like that.
Yeah. This is awesome.
This team is like, We're going to be able to literally watch baseball's version of the Dream Team.
I think the last WBC, the U.S. had a really good team. I think it was actually all major leaguers. I'd have to look back on it.
Was it? I didn't watch the last one.
Yeah, I mean, if you pull it up, I'm sure.
I'm
sure. Yeah, look it up. I'm pretty sure they had all major leaguers on it. I'll be curious to see who the rotation is. I would love to see like Scherzer on there, DeGrom. Like if the stars come out like they do here, that team's gonna be tough. That's a lot of fun. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And again, the shortstop position has me hanging on for dear life because I really want it to be Tim Anderson.
I see a MLB Mookie Betts is all in.
Oh, well, there's your right fielder.
Or wait, hold on. Does that say 2022? Stop.
Well, we didn't have it then, so
hold on.
I'm holding.
Where did I just see this?
I don't know.
Give me the tweet, people.
Give the man the tweet.
Yeah, literally earlier today, 1 p.m.
So he's in.
Mookie Betts, all in.
All right, there you go. There's your right fielder.
Okay, here we go.
Add him to that list. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they have Mookie playing center.
Okay.
And then they have Bryce listed at right, which is just wrong. It's not going to happen. So
it's not going to happen.
They're still going to need to figure that out. So there you go. Some breaking news as we look for last
Love
roster.
It. I mean, I've always said, like, you get the stars from the U.S. in because the Dominican's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Like, that team, we talked about it on a prior show. Like, that team, if they bring everybody, is impossible.
Yeah.
So I'll look forward to it. If you pull that up, let me know.
When was it? 2019? 17? Was that? Has there been one before then?
Well,
since then?
I believe they're every 3 years. So there wasn't one in 2020.
So it would have been
17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
All right. So here we go.
And even if it's not, I'll be curious to know what the 2017 was.
Christian Archer, Tampa Bay Rays, Nolan Arenado, Alex Bregman, Matt Carpenter, Tyler. Yeah. Okay.
That's a team.
Tyler Clippard, Brandon Crawford, Danny Duffy. I don't know who that is.
Oh, Danny Duffy's a decent player. Was a decent pitcher.
Goldschmidt played in it. Hosmer, Adam Jones,
Ian
Kinsler, man.
There he is.
Kutch, Andrew Miller, Daniel.
See,
Murphy.
but those weren't stars of stars.
Yeah, right.
You know, they weren't
Robertson,
stars of stars.
There he is.
Yeah. There he is.
Giancarlo, he was a stud even back then.
Yeah.
Stroman, Yelich, back when he was good.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. I mean, that's a decent squad. It's not going to be this team.
It's not this.
Yeah, it's not this.
It's not this. Looking at this, Trevor Story's like hitting 7th or 8th.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's wild.
Hey, they just completed a sweep.
Philly. Yeah, Nola tosses the complete game shutout.
Yeah, 15 games over 500. That is so cool. That puts them 4 games up on the team that's not in the wild card, like not in the top 3 standings, and 2.5 up on the team behind them. So they're in a really good spot right now. Great game from Edmundo Sosa today. But Phillies land is thrilled today because after a very short rehab stint in AAA, MV3, who I'm wearing on the shirt, Bryce Harper's back tomorrow, baby.
God, I can't wait. I literally can't wait.
Yeah, I need to be in front of my television when he hits for the first time tomorrow.
And have we ever seen a guy who looked like he was playing with children more than Bryce Harper playing in AAA? Like, no offense to those AAA guys. Like, how would you feel to be one of those guys and you got to pitch against literally the reigning MVP of Major League Baseball?
How about it?
Again, I think I told you before the show, like, I think my 8-year-olds could have done just as well against Harper.
Yeah, he is just special. I mean, and special is probably not the fairest of words to use when you're doing it, but like just the ease at which he does it.
But that's the thing, like we hear guys go down there all the time, and you hear like, oh, Gene Segura like got a hit and he got a couple walks and things like that. It's like, oh, Harper went 4 for 5 with 2 home runs.
Right.
Then he went 4 for 5 again with a game-winning double, another home run, and like another single and a walk. It's like there's a difference when you talk about it.
Yeah. And so he hit the walk-off double last night, and I had to laugh. You had said that they said this on the broadcast. I was still at school last night when, the Phillies game ended. It was a late night last night. And when I heard he hit the walk-off, I was like, oh, I got to watch the replay. So I go on Twitter, and obviously it's everywhere because everything he did over the last couple of days was like just immediately on Twitter.
I loved it. They put it on the broadcast every time. After every at bat, they put it on the broadcast. It was great.
I mean, it shows how much of like how big of a deal he is. But he he's rounding second base, and like the team's running out to greet him. And you just you see that full on sprint, and then they get to him and they realize,
right.
This is Bryce Harper. I can't touch him because if I hurt him again, I've got a one-way ticket out of the Phillies organization.
Someone does a too hard high five awkwardly on the thumb or something like that.
Yeah. It was so funny watching them just pull up, almost like you're when you get you're not really focused on the road and you're get to a stop sign and you slam the brakes on. That's what it looked like watching these guys run up to Bryce Harper and immediately just, you know what? I'm good. I'm
Kruk
good.
was hilarious. He's watching the thing and they start running him. He's like, don't touch him. Don't get near him.
And Kruk is an all-time emer, so it's probably don't touch him.
Yeah, right.
One of those. He's an all-time emer. So tomorrow night, Pittsburgh, the Phillies just completed a 4-game sweep over the Reds, which is what we wanted coming off of that tough Mets series. Again, and we're gonna talk about that, but the Mets it's just a thing. But they bounce right back. They beat a team they're supposed to beat, and they do it convincingly. Yeah, they had the walk-off win. We're also going to talk about that. But you've got Pittsburgh coming in for 3. You could essentially do the same thing this weekend. That's a really bad team coming in.
You should do the same thing.
You should. Weekend. You absolutely should. But when Dan Baker announces his name tomorrow, the Phillies were 12 games over 500 without him. But the fans are still going to lose their collective minds tomorrow night.
A Friday night game.
I considered getting tickets.
People are going to be out there at 4 p.m.
I mean, High Hopes is having their High Hopes night tomorrow.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And
I considered it.
They're going to lose their minds.
Over under 10 and a half or 9.5 seconds of a standing ovation.
Ooh.
Because they're going to want him to acknowledge him. I think it's going to be over.
A good number.
I think it's going to be over. I think they're going to want him to acknowledge them.
I was going to say 10, so I guess I'll take the over.
Yeah, I think it's going to be well over. I think they're going to be up for a while. People are just from the, the moment where either the person in front of you makes an out or they reach base. The second that happens, people are going to stand.
It might happen when he gets to the bat at the on deck circle.
I mean, people will be super pumped for that too. But I think we talked about how much this means on the last show because we talked about, what this is going to look like from a lineup perspective. I'm very excited to see what they do tomorrow because tonight Bryce and Stott hit third.
Yeah.
Because Bohm got the night off. But I'll be curious to see what they do. I'm really anxious. I think Schwarber's going to end up still hitting leadoff, and I think they're just going to slide Bryce right in to the 3 spot. And I wonder if Bohm hits cleanup at this point. But it is amazing what they're going to do with this lineup. So I wanted to look at it from a different perspective. If you're another team competing with the Phillies right now in the National League, what is your mindset knowing they're getting Bryce Harper back and they just went 12 games over without him and they're not long from having their regular lineup because Brandon Marsh is already rehabbing. So you're not looking far off for Marsh to be back. So they're going to have their lineup and it's likely that Gene Segura is going to be hitting 8th. So what Bryce Harper changes in this lineup, if you're an opposing team, if you're the Padres or the Brewers who are chasing the Phillies right now, as you're looking up in the standings, what are you thinking about what you're dealing with at this point?
You're thinking that you really hope their pitchers get worse and they just keep losing they keep losing 9-8 because they can't close any games out. Yeah. I mean, we've reached the point that we're seeing the offense we talked about before this year started.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen it all come together with Castellanos finally starting to hit the ball hard and just get some hits. Like, he's not hitting everything like a rocket, but he's at least starting to get some hits to right field, get those liners to center. He's not just rolling over everything to third base. Bohm continues to just rake the ball. Stott, is hitting again. Reese has cooled off significantly in the last couple games, probably week and a half or so. So that's a bummer. But Schwarber hits a 551 or 451 foot home run tonight. Good Lord. Almost hit like Campos. Yeah. That ball was like crushed. He's striking out a decent amount at the moment, but again, that's kind of just Kyle Schwarber. And Gene isn't quite back yet, but he's getting there. He's starting. At least he's seeing more pitches. He's walking a little bit more than he was when he first came back. So to put, I'm not sure what you do, because at least you could look at it and you could kind of hope that just the bottom of their lineup in the Maton, Vierling, Sosa, Zimmer, Stubbs area, basically 7 through 9, I guess you could say. You had to just kind of hope that those guys did absolutely nothing and that the top half just had an off night. But this team has showed that it can put up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 runs. Like even like you said, the Sunday game against the Phillies or against the Mets, they put up what, 8 runs, 9 runs. So it's there, and all without this just baseball eater in the middle of it. It's just like, so if you're an opposing team, you have to hope that they just keep giving up a lot of runs, is what you have to do.
Yeah, I just don't know, if you're an opposing manager, how you feel about Schwarber, Hoskins, Harper, Bohm, Real Muto, Stott, Castellanos, Segura, Marsh.
So here's a question. With Hoskins being a little cold, would you put Bohm second?
It's something you
keep
can
that
consider.
lefty going.
You can consider it. I think
Schwarber, Bohm, Harper, Castellanos.
I just think with Harper coming back into the lineup, I mean, I just think Reese is just going to see so many more pitches, especially if Bryce comes back hot. If he just comes back and picks up where he left off, and then Reese can get hot. And then you've got Schwarber and Reese in front of Bryce, and you've got Bohm behind Bryce, and JT's swinging a good stick right now. You might not want to move.
He is hitting really well.
You might not want to move JT out of the cleanup spot. You might want to put Bohm hitting fifth. It's such a good problem to have right now. With especially with the kids playing the way that they're playing. I do want to spend a little time here before we move to the bad news, and that's on Bohmer and Stott. Bryce and Stott is just unbelievable. I know, we really started with the Harper thing, and I just think, the impact that he's going to have, it kind of goes without saying.
Yeah.
But I don't want to ignore what these two kids have done this year. I look at Bryson Stott, and ball players is written all over this kid. His baseball IQ is so high. You see him make plays that no rookie makes. Just the knowledge of where he should be, when he should be there, covering first, backing up plays, ending up on third base on a ball that sneaks through the infield on a throwing error. Those things are not the things that will, this is so cliche, but show up in the box score. But he's so good at those things, but the natural talent is there. I know, looking at the stats, if you're just a casual or someone who's just looking at the Phillies for the first time this year, you're going to see 230 as his batting average.
Yeah.
What you're not going to remember is that this kid was at 140 at some point in the season. What he has done to change his stance and his approach, he is now just a 2-strike stance all the time. Here we go. we made it about the same point this year tonight, like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But I think what Bryson Stott has done this year since coming back, the adjustments he's made and the learning curve that he's given himself, just unbelievable. The hit the other night coming off the bench. I mean, I thought it was gone.
Yeah,
I thought I thought it
that
was gone.
shows some unreal confidence.
Same thing with Maton.
Yeah.
Same thing.
He's been, I mean, the fact that kid has come up and just showed no fear is crazy.
Except that he had to pee before he hit.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
I've been there. I've been there. I've been there.
But Stott coming in as a rookie in that kind of situation and the stance change, like you said, taking away the leg kick, just keeping his foot down, which seems to be clicking for a lot of these guys. I mean, Bohm has said that that's how he's getting, you know, how he got back on track. JT is talking about how, I mean, JT still has the leg kick, but about getting the foot down earlier. Like Kyle Long is seeing some trends in this team and figuring out ways to get guys into the optimal position.
Right.
So kudos to him for sure, and these guys for being open to change and figuring something out. But to have two rookies, I mean, Maton's played a little bit, right? But so he's not technically a rookie. But to have two young guys come in with 2 outs after you just blew a lead and pick up those hits, like, and then, like you said, when opposing teams see that, it's like, well, what are we supposed to do if these kids are going to be like that? If these kids have that kind of confidence? I think it was just huge for them. Just huge to be able to come up clutch in those situations. And to quickly transition to Bohm, like, just think about where he was at the beginning of this season.
Mm-hmm. I hate the 7th place.
Yeah. Just think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's literally been carrying this lineup while the MVP of the entire National League has been on the injured list. Bohm has been, maybe him and JT, you could say, and I've had my criticisms of JT this year, but he's been on an absolute tear for the past 3 or 4 weeks.
Sure.
But Bohm has he just keeps finding a way to keep this offense moving. He's not hitting a ton of bombs, right? He just keeps finding ways, like with 2 outs, he'll get a single that gives him first and third instead of just leaving a guy stranded on second. With 2 outs, he'll get a single that, you know, brings up whoever, but just, you know, keeps the lineup moving a little bit, even if the guys in front of him have struck out or swung at the first pitch or whatever they might be doing. He's just been like the crank of this offense. He just keeps them churning, and it's been crazy. It's been amazing. It's been awesome.
I think you're right. Offensively, he's just been incredible. But I want to take a moment and just respect what he's done defensively this year. Like, he's actually a manageable third baseman right now. I mean, he still has his moments. We've seen a few against the Mets alone. He had a few. But I don't know what Bobby Dickerson gets paid, the infield coach for the Phillies, but he should probably make more than what he's making.
Someone's gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find that out. Alec Bohm, you know, they're a teacher I work with who listens to the show. He loves the show. He actually told me today, like, I woke up this morning and I was like, where's the Phixated podcast? I don't have anything to listen to. And then he goes, I realized it wasn't Friday. So that made me laugh. But he mentioned to me, like, Alec Bohm being the MVP of this team this year. And honestly, like, when I think about it, I mean, yeah, Schwartz carried him early on, right? Like, he was unreal for that stretch of time. But, like, when the going got really tough, like, Alec Bohm was really good. And that Mets game the other day, like the 2 3-run home runs, like,
just wild.
It's I don't know. I agree. I think Bohmer has a real argument as being the MVP of this team this year. I think, you know, there are a select few on the roster that I would name as that. I think Bohm's one. I think Schwarb would be another, and I think the last one would be Sir Anthony. Like I don't know that there's anybody else that I'd put into that category as being a potential MVP. Obviously, Bryce will always be Bryce.
See,
but it's
for all my
what happened when
skepticism,
Bryce went down.
Yeah. For all my skepticism, Aaron Nola continues to pitch unbelievably.
It was a big start tonight, but he was not great.
With all the turmoil around him.
He was not great against the Mets last week.
And look,
though,
I think here's the difference, though. That outing was coming off of literally battling DeGrom, right? The last time they faced the Mets. They went kind of back-to-back with the Mets there with a little red sprinkled in between.
Yeah.
Okay, he came out and did not have a good day. It's going to happen against, as much as we hate to say it, the Mets are a very good baseball team, and they continue to just kick the absolute crap out of us.
We're going to talk about that.
We are like their much smaller little brother at this point. So look, but I think the key is that last year that was the normal for Aaron Nola, those kinds of starts. Yeah. Now, coming off after dueling Jacob deGrom, you had a stinker. It's going to happen. I think the way that narrative for him is switched, and I think you could argue, and I think there wouldn't be much kickback, is that he's been the most consistent pitcher for the Phillies the entire year.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So I would just throw his name in there.
Well, let's talk about the pitching, because for all the good that we have, Harper, Stott, Bohm, we got some bad news today.
We did. It's not been a good week of news for the pitching staff.
No. I mean, Corey Knebel going out for the rest of the season. I mean, I could have lived with that. I mean, he had settled into a role finally, but we were getting Sam Coonrod back. So it kind of, to me, that's basically, I felt a little bit of an upgrade.
Yeah.
Just because of what Coonrod does. Then we get the Sir Anthony news, and the tricep issue. At least it's not the elbow or the forearm, so there's that. But clearly you don't want the tricep to be a problem, and we hope that it's not, and that you're just being very cautious because of what he went through, and that he's back here for the stretch run. That's the hope. It does make the David Robertson move look absolutely brilliant, though, because you don't lose that ninth inning guy at this point now.
Yeah, well, Robertson's not a lights out yet.
No, but he's been really good. I mean, I don't want to downplay how good he's been. I think the outing that he struggled in when they lost to the Mets was because of being out there literally the day before.
Yeah.
And throwing 2 innings to get them the save that they needed to have. And then he calls down to the dugout and tells Topper, I want to go. I'm good.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I do. I'm glad we didn't have to see him a whole lot this week after that. But it does make them a little deeper, I think.
Sure, sure.
And then today, the really bad news of Zach Wheeler. Anytime you see forearm anything, you start to panic.
Yeah.
And we're not going to say the words, we're not going to say the letters, but anything forearm is a little scary. And we just have to hope that it's truly just tendonitis and that he's feeling good in 2 weeks. Because I will tell you this, the Phillies right now are going to be a playoff team. I will also say this, without Zach Wheeler, I don't see them winning a playoff series.
Yeah, unless they just absolutely are mashing the ball.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, Nola's starting game 1? Who's starting game 2? Ranger? Who's starting game 3? Gibby?
Yeah.
Bailey Falter?
Well, no, please God, no. Please
God, no. Are you going to use Syndergaard?
You're right. I think it would go.
It's Nola Suarez.
Nola Suarez, Gibson.
I mean, depending on who you're facing, right?
Well, yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
It'll be a Syndergaard Gibson. It'll depend on the matchup.
Yeah, or a mix of both. Like maybe you use both in a 3-game series. Yeah. But I don't even want to think about it because all I've thought about is, I've said it on the show so many times, like, You get into a 3-game series with this roster, and you have a really darn good chance of matching up against any team in the National League, and even in a 4-game series, any team across baseball with the 1-2 of Wheeler and Nola. The way they have pitched this year, that is a very, very tangible 1-2 possibility to win. Like
Yeah.
it is right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the end of the day, this is bad news.
Yeah.
But I'm going to remain optimistic until they give us reason not to. Again, you just hope.
I mean,
hope.
Dombrowski said that Wheeler told them he could go tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So Dombrowski literally said that Zach told us he was good enough to go tomorrow on Friday.
Okay.
And he said, because they're not going to risk him doing anything, worse, that, not convinced him is the wrong word, but, they talked it out and decided that this was the better move, which it will be in the long run. If he just needs to take 2 weeks and relax again. Wheeler has had a weird beginning of the season into needing to get going into he self-admitted hasn't been feeling great out there mechanically. Said he finally, I think Alex Coffey wrote an article about how he was feeling and had quotes from Wheeler about how he had figured out something mechanically, like after a couple bullpen sessions. Something with he was holding his arm back too long, which was causing him to overthrow and things like that. So it literally came out the day before they announced this. So I think it came out on Wednesday, and they announced this today. So it seems like he had figured something out, and who knows? Maybe the lack of a spring training, going into the season, needing to kind of get yourself back into it. You're not feeling great mechanically, so you're putting in a lot of work in the bullpen during the week on your off days to try and figure that out. And, pitchers in baseball nowadays are notoriously very finicky. When they don't get their proper sort of cadence into the season, this stuff tends to happen. So I'm with you. I'm going to remain optimistic. I'm going to hope that he can take some time, maybe it's just fatigue. Maybe it's whatever, right? It's something, he's just feeling a little discomfort. It is what it is. Take some time off, because you're exactly right. We can't go into the playoffs without him. We can't, because we don't have a chance.
No.
So we need to do everything now in order to have him ready for that stage.
Right. I don't feel good. At this point, you're going on the road to face Atlanta in a 3-game series. And Wheeler has not historically pitched well there, at least as a Philly. I don't know what his numbers with the Mets are against the Braves, but thinking back to his starts against the Braves as a Phil, they've not always been great. And I know specifically I can think to 2 or 3 games in Atlanta that didn't go well. That, I still want him pitching game 1.
Well, yeah.
Like, that doesn't change that. Who we're facing in game 1 against the Braves, though. We're going to face Tight Pants McGee.
Yeah.
And I don't enjoy that either, but it is what it is. And, we're just going to have to, hopefully you battle with Wheeler and you win that game. But our fingers are crossed. And obviously our thoughts go out to Zach's forearm, and hopefully it's okay. Because
just like Bryce's thumb, we're going to put positive energy out there for him.
That's it. And Sir Anthony's tricep.
That's right. And Sir Anthony's tricep.
Because I want him in the 9th inning to clinch the wild card spot, and I can celebrate once again the Phillies getting back to the playoffs, because I will be unbearable. I will be. We're going to do an emergency pod that night, just so you're aware.
And I'm going to have several of these while we're doing them, so it might get a little crazy.
We're going to have an emergency pod when they clinch, and it might just be us rambling.
You know what we're doing? We're taking callers.
Yes.
And they must have a drink in their hand to be eligible to join the call.
Yes, we are absolutely taking callers. We will just warn people every night that they're able to clinch and say, be ready. Just be ready, because we're going to pop on as soon as the game's over. I don't care if it's 11 o'clock at night.
Doesn't matter.
We're coming on. We are doing it. It's going to be amazing.
Yep.
all the excitement around the Phillies, and I've said this before to you. I don't know if I've ever said it on a show or not, but the excitement about having a Phillies playoff game on the same day as an Eagles regular season game is all I want back in my life. I just want a Sunday where the Eagles are on at 1 and then the Phillies are playing a night playoff game. That is all I want in my world in 2022. If I have that, the rest is good.
There you go.
And we are on our way to that potential.
We are.
Because the Eagles are right around the corner and the Phillies are looking good. With the Eagles right around the corner, you know, we've seen a couple of mixed practices. They had one with the Browns and performed very well.
Mm-hmm.
In those. Jalen Hurts was apparently tremendous against Cleveland. Now, I know Cleveland wasn't playing a lot of guys. A lot of guys were sidelined, but he was apparently unbelievable. And again, I heard it was pocket, it was read, it was like a brand new guy. Yeah. So, now I know they didn't play as well yesterday and they didn't have the practice day. It was canceled. So, I mean, you know, we'll see what happens this weekend when they kick off their last preseason game. Hard to believe. We're heading that way. Next Tuesday is the 53-man cutoff. So, Regs, I put together a 53-man roster.
I don't know.
Literally did it.
I don't know how you did this so fast.
Regs, I don't know either. I told you it's the fastest I've ever done it because I didn't know what I wanted to do with the Eagles tonight. So when we got on, I was like, you know, I think the 53-man's cutting down soon. We'll just do that. So I pulled up the roster and who's left on the roster and quickly wrote down who I believe will be the 53 guys on it. And Regs was just kind of giggling at me as I did it, as I was talking out loud.
It was a sight to see as he did it so quickly.
I mean, it was, yeah. So it's probably going to be a mess.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Well, let's jump into it because I'll start with the specialists. Obviously, it's going to be Elliott, Siposs, and Lovato. So I know I'm 3 for 3 there, unless something crazy happens. I'll be 5 for 5 at the quarterback position because Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew are locks. I'd wonder if Reed Stinnett would make it as the third, but I think they're going to put him on the practice squad. He's looked okay though. He's looked okay in preseason. Running backs, I think it's going to be your normal 3. I don't know that they're going to get Hunt at this point. So Miles, Boston Scott, and Kenny Gainwell at the running back position, which it doesn't feel like star-studded, but I don't think it needs to be with the offensive line. Like, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Looking at receiver, I think this is pretty much telltale. I question one of these, but I just don't know what else you do. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Zach Pascal, Quez Watkins, and then you get to Jalen Reagor, and I just don't know that they're going to trade him. Like, I don't know. Because,
point, who takes him?
Right, but Kane has had a great camp, and I almost wonder if that, triggers anything. I don't think it does, but it'd be interesting. And then Britton Covey. Get ready.
All right.
I think that's the 6th. Unless they go Kane there, but Covey, I have a feeling punt returner, dependable slot, 6 wide receiver on the chart, but still. Tight end seems pretty straightforward. Goddard, Stoll, Grant Calcaterra, the kid they drafted in the 6th round this year, who's had a really good camp too. He's very impressive from what I've read. Good hands. And then you get to the offensive line, and I think this is like a moment that we have to pause and kind of talk for a second.
You were giggling so much as you went through this.
I was, because, and I think after every one I said, oh, best offensive lineman on the team. Best offensive lineman on the team.
Yep.
So Mailata, Dickerson, Kelsey, Sayamalu, Lane Johnson. That's your 5, right? Like, that is your 5. Backups: Juergens, Dillard, Driscoll. And then I think it's going to be Suo Opeta. I feel like that'll be the 9th. It makes the most sense. They've started him in a couple of preseason games. Mm-hmm. So, but what I said to Regs before was their second string is better than some teams' first. And I think that includes the Cowboys because they just lost Tyron Smith.
Oh my gosh. Doesn't that sound horrible what happened to him?
What happened to him? Oh, it sounds terrible.
Gosh.
It sounds terrible. I can't even imagine.
No.
And I mean, I can't stand the Cowboys,
No,
but like,
but still,
I don't wish that on anybody.
No.
But like the Cowboys made the mistake of like, oh, well, Tyron Smith has a long history of injuries, but we're not going to bring back Lael Collins. It's like what they did with Amari Cooper. They get rid of Amari Cooper, but they don't really have other receivers not named CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
So I don't know. So this offensive line depth is just insane to me because, you know, obviously you don't want anybody going down, but any of those four are potentially fine to slide in.
Mm-hmm.
Like Driscoll plays pretty much every position on the line. Dillard is a starting caliber left tackle. Like he showed that when he had to fill in. Only left tackle, though, cannot play right tackle. And he tells you that because everything's just in reverse, as he pointed out. And Cam Jurgens has been a revelation to watch.
Yeah.
Like, the clips of this kid are insane. He's a bulldozer, Regs.
Yeah. I saw the couple that the Eagles posted.
Yeah.
Where he pulls and, like, Kelsey and is just like, he looks like one of the fastest guys out there.
I mean, this is what happens when you let your trusted veteran scout for you. Like, they'd let Kelsey tell them who they should draft, and they drafted him. So now they have as a replacement. And I never want Kelsey to leave. I want him to be here forever.
Yeah.
But we know that day's going to come.
Yep.
And now we know we have the guy to stand there and do the job. So the offensive line is probably the thing I'm most excited about because I think Jalen Hurts is just going to stand there.
Yeah, it's
like,
going to be good.
Who's going to touch him? All right, moving over to the
no one is the answer to that.
Yeah, I'd hope so. Moving over to the defensive side, let's start at tackle. Fletch, Hargrave, our new guy Jordan Davis, the brick of a man,
the mountain.
Yeah, Milton Williams, and then here we go. Martin Tuipolatu.
There you go.
Marlon Tuipolatu.
You did that good tonight.
I did it well tonight. I get 365 days later. So. I put him on last year. He didn't make it, but I think I do think a year on the practice squad means something, and there's been improvements. They've talked about it. I know that they've mentioned him a couple of times. Gannon's talked about him a couple of times in some press conferences. They've been impressed with the growth. So I do think he'll make the roster this year. Don't let me down, Marlon. Do not let me down. Edge, strong side linebackers. I've got 4, 6, 7 of them. Obviously, Sweat, BG, Reddick, Barnett. And then I did go with a couple of the younger guys, Tyron Jackson, Patrick Johnson, Kyron Johnson, who they drafted out of Kansas, who what I've read is basically what they wanted Jernard Avery to be. He's just explosive. And you won't see him a whole lot, but I do think that they'll have some different sets where he's standing up and
how has Reddick looked?
It's been quiet. Yeah. I don't think he's played a whole lot. When they played the first team defense in the first game, it was the Kaiser White interception. It was like 2 plays.
Yeah.
And then they didn't play anybody against the Browns last weekend. Like no one played. So, quiet, I would say. But I don't know that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll see though. In 2 preseason games, there hasn't been a whole lot there. Off-ball linebacker. I said to you beforehand, like, this is the deepest we've ever seen this position. TJ Edwards, who just continues to impress and continues to get better every rep, every game, every play. He deserves a spot. Kaiser White, who's been really good this preseason. Nakobe Dean, who's had moments. But he's just mature beyond his years, and I think we're going to see growth throughout this year. And then Sean Taylor, or I'm sorry, not Sean Taylor. Rest in peace, Sean Taylor. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Davion Taylor and Sean Bradley will be, I think, the other two to make the roster. And Bradley's more of a special teamer. I hope Taylor stays healthy. The athleticism was very evident last year when he was playing, when he was on the field. Corner. I think I went pretty chalky here. Obviously, Slay, Bradbury, Maddox, McPherson was a 4th-round pick last year, so that feels like it has to happen. But I did put Josh Jobe on there. He's the undrafted free agent from Bama. He's had a pretty good camp. He ended up being like the number 1 corner for the second team in the first preseason game. So I do think he's going to make it. It looks like they have confidence in him. And then this is the position of most question, Regs, and one that, Roger Regal mentioned when he was on the show last week, that safety spot.
Yeah.
And I just can't find like the guys that I wanted there. And so obviously Epps, from what I've heard, read, seen, he's been the best of the group. So he's going to be there. It looks like Harris is going to be back. So he'll be on there. Kayvon Wallace, Andre Chachere, I have as the 4th one. And then I put my boy Reed Blankenship on because I called him from the start. So I need to put him on.
Of course.
I have to. So that leaves off Tart, who they signed as a free agent from San Francisco. He's just not been good. He's not been healthy. So I don't see him making the team. And I think they're going to go with 4 younger guys. And I think that's fair. Like, I think, going with 4 younger guys and trying to figure it out, you don't have a ton of holes. So barring a bunch of injuries, this is a place that you might be able to improve at the deadline, which Howie has shown that he's not afraid to do.
Yeah.
If it necessitates. Like the Super Bowl year, they needed running backs in the worst way. So he went out and got a running back. And it paid dividends. And I think if they need safety, if the safeties are a real problem, then he'll go do it. But the thing about safety is it's literally your last line of defense.
Yeah.
So if everything in front of them is happening the way it should be, they shouldn't have to worry too much back there. Like
Right.
if the line's doing what they should be and Reddick's getting pressure and Sweat's getting pressure and the linebackers are covering the middle of the field well and your corners are able to guard the boundaries, which those two should be able to do, and everybody, knock on wood, stays healthy.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine. Like, that's the position they go for. As I read that roster, like, that is the only glaring hole, and there's the closest second is like off the screen. Right? Am I wrong?
No, I don't think so. I think, like you said, that's the biggest hole, and the next one is probably, like, you could say running back just because there's no studs, but like they didn't need them last year to have a successful running game.
Yeah, because the offensive line makes up for it.
Exactly. So I think they're in that same position. So it's almost, you can't even say that it's a deficiency because it's proven to be effective. I think safety continues to be the place where they haven't been very good for a while, and it continues to be not the strongest area. But like you said, you hope that the improvements everywhere else take the pressure off that position and, allows those guys to just be good enough.
Yeah. I think depth-wise, they're probably corner might be the next place. And so corner, I think corner depth-wise and maybe D-tackle after that, but otherwise, it's just the offense is just deep out of its mind. I'd say it's safety, corner down here, and then right below that linebacker. Because if Slayer Bradbury, after them, Avante showed he's not really great on the outside, and then you're going to McPherson or Jobe on the outside, and that's a huge drop off. I mean, McPherson's been better, but it's not even close to slaying Bradbury.
No, sure.
So, but again, that roster looks and sounds really good. So
yeah,
I'm excited. And so next week when we do our show on Thursday night, we'll have the final 53, and we'll see if I'm close. Last year, what it was, I was like 50 or 53.
One or two.
Yeah, I think it was like 50 or 51 out of 53. I don't remember.
It was pretty good.
But it was close. So we'll see how I do this year. Hopefully I'm in that ballpark again.
Looking forward to it.
All right, you ready for my fixated?
I'm ready.
All right. Regs, I'm fixated on the Mets being a good team.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. They do everything really well. They two-strike hitting is...
Oh, my God. The two-out hits are unbelievable.
Two-strike and two-out. Like, they do what good teams do, which is they put the ball in play in spots they need to put the ball in play in.
Yeah.
And, you know, they pitch well. They're managed well. They run the bases well. They do all the things that they need to do well all the time.
Yeah.
And look, that's highlighted against the Phillies because honestly, it's frustrating to watch what they do to the Phillies. Why is that? Well, let me tell you why that is. Because if you take the Phillies record against the Mets out of their record, they're 65-41. They're 24 games over 500 against teams not named the New York Mets. So when we're not playing the Mets, we are used to winning baseball games. But when we play the Mets, everything melts down.
Yeah, just doesn't happen.
Even from the fan perspective, like it's just a complete meltdown. It is an overall Philadelphia meltdown. And it's infuriating, and I've said this to you. It's maddening that
Sunday night.
happens.
That Sunday night game, or that Sunday game.
Yeah, well, it was a night game.
I mean, yeah, it
essentially.
turned into one.
It's like a 6-hour game.
Good Lord.
But you know, I was a little more encouraged this weekend, not with the way they lost the game. But they even had a chance in the ninth against Diaz.
They did.
And that is encouraging because they might see themselves in a playoff series with the Mets. Like if they win their first round matchup, that's going to be their second round matchup. So, you know, seeing that they're able to fight and play with them is good, especially in the late innings, because they own them. They just find ways to beat them. So I was slightly encouraged. I was frustrated again, but I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, look, like the Mets just, they own them. They absolutely, and until they show us otherwise, we just have to accept that the Mets are a better baseball team. They're getting beat by a better baseball team. They're not going out there and getting beat by the Reds. We just saw they're a better team than the Reds. They went out and swept the Reds.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they do the same to Pittsburgh. But when you play the Mets, you have to go into it understanding that the Mets are probably going to beat you because they're just a really good team. They don't just have stars. They have grinder role players that just drive you nuts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jeff McNeil is one of those guys. He's just a grinder player. I hate the shape of the handle of his bat. It's like I cannot get over it.
Yeah.
But the guy can play, and he made really great defensive plays that kind of killed momentum in big Phillies
and
innings.
Just kept getting hits, like just blue pit after blue pit.
His at bats are well, they do that to Wheeler a lot.
Oh yeah.
And then I can't stand the guy, but Brandon Nimmo's another one. He's just that role player that they have on that roster who does things that are obnoxious.
Yeah.
But he gets his job done. When he's not playing well, it's kind of like Jimmy was when he was a Philly. Like, if Jimmy's playing well and on base, the Phillies are likely going to win the game.
Yeah.
Same thing goes for Brandon Nimmo.
Mm-hmm.
And then a guy like Mark Hanna, like a veteran that they bring over. A veteran that they bring over. I don't know. Maybe not a nobody.
I've never heard his name before this year.
That's because he played in Oakland.
Okay. I've never heard his name before this year.
I'm almost positive he was an A, so that's probably why. But thanks, Puff. She doesn't agree. She thinks that Mark Hanna is the best player of all time, actually, is what she's saying. He was an A. Yeah, that's why. A West Coast team that no one knows about. So, all of this to say, the playoffs are a very different beast. It's a very different beast. And anything can happen in October. Right now, the Mets are playing really good ball. We saw what happened last year with the Braves. The Braves in August were pretty much out. And then all of a sudden in September, they just tore through the standings and became the best team in baseball. There's no reason that the Phillies can't just get that hot. They're about to get a top 3 player in the game back. So that can happen too. And I just want to bring to your attention, found this tweet, John Stolness, great research. Back in 1983, Yes, I'm going that far back. The Phillies were 1-11 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Met him in the playoffs and swept him in 4 games.
Isn't that amazing?
So once you get into the postseason, anything can happen. It's going to come down to the Phillies unlocking this mental block that they have in their brains that the Mets are they're just the superior team, and they might be. They
are.
The way they
said.
play.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, the way they play, they are. But on paper, the Phillies certainly match up.
Mm-hmm.
They certainly match up on paper, at least offensively. Pitching wise, it's hard to match up Scherzer and DeGrom.
Yeah.
But offensively, the Phillies absolutely match up to the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
I'd even argue with a full bullpen, they match up. It's the starting pitching that separates the two teams, which matters.
Mm-hmm.
But again, anything can happen. We saw it with the Phillies back in 2011, the best starting staff in baseball, but couldn't get the job done. So anything can happen. So my fixation this week is the Mets are a good team, and that's hard to accept because we don't like them. I've said to people I actually hate them more than the Cowboys. And that's hard for a Philadelphia fan to say, but I despise the New York Mets. And seeing that many Met fans at Xfinity Live and that many Met fans in the stadium and having to hear the stupid Let's Go Met chants was just incredibly deflating. But I think that the Phillies can turn that corner when the time comes that it matters. And if they get the opportunity, I hope they do, because it would be really fun to shut up Met fans by beating them in the playoffs, because they have done nothing but talk and talk and talk, including their broadcaster. So I would love to get to an October matchup with the Mets and find ourselves beating them on path to an NLCS berth. Regs, that would be another emergency pod.
Oh my God. That's
what I'm fixated on.
I love it. That was
beat the Mets, baby.
That's right. Forever and always beat the Mets.
I just need it. I need it one time.
I know.
So that's all we got, Regs. That's it tonight, man.
Listen, a tidy episode.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Enjoyed that. So guys, we some exciting stuff coming. The website is planned out. It is planned out. We are waiting for the send back from the creators to tell us that it's a go. We'll review it and it will be up, locked, loaded, and hopefully we can start, selling you guys some good merch here, because we're excited about the things that we designed and picked out. The next step is going to be getting some quotes to put on our shirts.
Yeah, so if you have any ideas, let us know. I mean, to you guys that listen to all these, obviously we record them, but I'm going to be honest, I don't usually go back and listen to them.
I don't always either. I maybe listen to like the very beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
But so if we say anything that's like, oh, that needs to be a shirt, you got to let us know.
Let us know. Facebook page, Twitter, comments of the YouTube video, wherever you want to.
We will put it on a shirt.
We will.
We'll put it on a shirt so that you guys can buy it, because we'll grow the stores as much as we can. But we've got shirts, we've got hoodies, some hats, and even a pool. Yeah, we got polo and a pullover coming to the website here soon. So we hope that you guys are as excited about that as we are. We are pumped.
Yeah.
To see that website. Hopefully it'll be here in the next few days. We finished up the designs with the web developer on Saturday of last week. I think we finished up. So hopefully here in the coming days, and as soon as we get it,
it'll be everywhere.
We will put it out for you. It will be everywhere for you to be able to order whatever it is that you want. So we really hope that you guys will take a look and enjoy some merch with us.
Yeah, it'll be exciting.
All right. Well, hey, everyone, make sure you give us a follow on all of our social media and recording platforms. go ahead and click subscribe here below. Us, if you're watching us on YouTube, and if you're not, maybe go to YouTube and then click subscribe once you search the Phixated Podcast. Make sure you find us on all of your podcast platforms, whether it's Apple or Spotify or Amazon, whatever you use for your podcast. Find us there, follow us, subscribe, and maybe leave a comment or a rating. That'd be pretty cool too. Let's bump us up in the rating world. That'd be cool. That'd be fun, right?
Yeah,
Reg?
throw some 5 stars on there.
There's some 5 stars on there for us. Come on, it takes a minute. Just sign on to Spotify and click 5 stars. Easy, done and done. Done and done. And then go ahead and follow us at the Phixated fan page. We are approaching 100 followers, Regs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we are getting there. We're at the we're right around 75. So we get 25 more people on there. We might have to do some sort of giveaway or something.
That'd be awesome.
That's really cool. And so you can follow us at the Phixated fan page on Facebook, and then follow the platform at Birdies and Beer Pod at B&B Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Phixated Pod. Follow me on Twitter at the Mic Drop 5, and my guy Regs at Big Regs with a Z. As always, we so appreciate you listening to us. We taking time and hanging out with us, and just thinking about Philly sports, because what else is better than that? We love all of you for listening. We hope you have the absolute best week. Go ahead, be safe, and be kind to someone, and take care, everybody. Go Phils. Go Eagles.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy yourselves.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.